Ooh. I was just skipping, just doing my daily workout because it's 2023 and we are working on those New Year's resolutions. Hopefully this one will be consistent. But as a collabo, what I want to talk about today is Finding Me by Viola Davis. Well, this is basically a memoir by Viola Davis. She is telling us a story about her life. It was a good read. I mean, if you love Viola Davis, I think your love for her will be elevated after reading this, because you get to know her. You get to know where she comes from as a person, where she started from to where she is today. And it wasn't an easy upbringing. She grew up in Rhode Island. I think it was predominantly white people, and growing up in that area, she faced a lot of racism, to a point where when she was young, she literally ran from the bullies, the white bullies, from school. So every day her life was just literally running. And one issue that would be a spoiler, okay, let me not spoil it for you, but she, amidst of all these poverty, abuse, and a lot of kids at home, a lot of rats, a lot of cockroaches, a lot of all these things that accompany poverty, she became an A student, and that's what drove her. And I'm being disturbed by my daughter. So her sister Danielle was actually a saving grace for her, because she used to say, Viola, this is not the life you want to live. And through that motivation, through that reminder, she became the Viola Davis we know today. She worked really hard. She suffered a lot from childhood to being a teenager to early adulthood. She didn't have an easy ride. Her abusive dad, the dad, guys, you know things about dads, man. Most of us come from backgrounds where daddies abuse our mothers, but your dad is your dad, and you love your dad. And she really loved her dad, and she says towards the end of her father's life, this man was very apologetic, and every day he would tell them how much he loved them. And I think that stems from him feeling regretful now at his old age, reflecting on what he did to the family. But I'm glad that, he finally apologized and told them how much he loved them. I mean, when you're young and you are in a very racist background, certain things like that will drive you to oppressing your family because you're being oppressed. I think that's what happened to a lot of men in South Africa with apartheid. And yeah, so let me just read you a few of these things that I've highlighted on the book that I thought were key. I'll just read them to you so that you can get a glimpse of how her writing is and her reflections. It was a good read. One thing that, but there's this other person who really just explained that it was her writing style. But for me, it was just, repetition of things, events. And I said that it felt like it was my mom who was telling the story, because, old people, when they tell you a story, it's repetitive. So she will say, for example, I took a bus to school because I was poor. And then in another chapter, I took that long bus to school because I was poor. So there was a lot of repetition to these things. And that lady, in her defense, said that it was her style of writing. I don't know if you picked that up, but you can share with me if you did. So let me read these things, these phrases, these sayings, these beautiful words by Viola Davis. Individuals on the journey eventually find themselves experiencing a baptism by fire. It's that moment when they are just about to lose their lives and they miraculously, courageously find the answer that gives their life meaning. And that meaning, that answer saves them. So this one is about her mom. You know, when you grow up and you conversations with your parents become very clear and you stop having fear because now you're becoming friends. And this is one phrase that I like so much. It says, one of the beauties of getting older is really getting to know a parent. And I've been experiencing that with my mom. I find that it's easier to talk to her now, and I think that's what Viola was just sharing with us here. But the one thing, guys, that she spoke about, there's a revelation that she did about her brother in the book. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I feel like she didn't elaborate more on that, and I feel so disappointed because I would have loved to know what her mother after that did, or what she said, or what Viola said in that moment, because her mom just looked at her and never said anything. But then what happened after that revelation, you know? Like, abuse elicits so many memories of trauma that embed themselves into behavior that is hard to shake. It could be something that happened 40 years ago, but it remains alive, present. The story I remember, this is also my favorite story, by the way, by Diane, Viola's sister. She's the storyteller of the family, so she told this story that I'm going to share with you now. Viola says, the story I remember her telling us the most was, one night we had something in the woods behind my grandmama's house. Diane started. We all were sitting on the floor in the kitchen at 128. She would always stand. I could hear it in the trees. I went out there to see what it was because everyone was scared. It was so dark. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I didn't even know what was in the woods. That part always scared me. I had a knock and looked up, down, and saw drops of blood everywhere. I went farther and saw Uncle Arnold. Uncle Arnold was our closest uncle. His legs were way over there. His arms were even farther away. His body was in the middle, and his head was not even attached to his neck. I was in shock. I started screaming and then put my hand on my hips and looked at his head and said, Arnold, pull yourself together. That's my favorite story. Tell me if you get it. If you don't, forget about it. This one talks about poverty and being black. The invincibility of the 1-2 punch that is blackness and poverty is brutal. Mix that with being hungry all the damn time and it becomes combustible. Guys, being black and being poor and being hungry is the worst thing ever. Like, so there was this one time, right? I'll never forget this. My aunt was struggling at home, and at the time my dad, my biological father, was no more, and so my mom at the point took care of a lot of people. You know, when someone dies and then family comes to your house and then all of a sudden it's like a whole lot of people in the house, and it got to a point where, you know, sometimes it was just we didn't have food. And so I moved to my aunt's house. It was I loved my aunt's house because my sister was there. I loved my sister so much. Still love her actually, because okay, I'll tell you. Oh my gosh. So anyways, there was a day when we didn't have food, like really hungry at the time, and my aunt just said, you know, there's a funeral and at so and so's house, let's just dress up and go there and eat. And we literally dressed up, went there to eat and we were fine for the day. But you know what, God always makes a plan. Like my aunt would always make a plan for us to eat or go out, or never miss on certain things in life. Of course we missed on a lot of things, but she was just that anchor that held us together. Anyways, about my sister, and something I relate a lot to Viola is most of her life she knew herself. She was told she was ugly, and she missed a lot of roles because they believed her to be ugly, because of her dark skin, her full lips just like mine, big nose, big eyes, kafurhara. I'm sorry to say this word, but I, like, for lack of a better word, I'll use that term. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. She never believed that she was beautiful, and I suffered that a lot in my life. And that's why I'm saying I love my sister. I loved my sister, and I still love my sister, because she's the one person that always told me that I was beautiful, and I never believed it. But every time she told it to me, I would feel very, very much better, I didn't believe it, but I ended up believing it after a long time. But yeah, that's a story for another day. That's what I related the most with Viola. Yeah, man, poverty and being black, and it's brutal. Like, there's nothing to explain it better than just brutal. It's not nice. Growing up food insecure, washing my clothes by hand in cold water the night before I had to go to school, hanging them up, and if they were still wet the next morning, wearing those wet clothes even if I'd pissed the bed. Everything had been hard for me. I had mastered hard. Now I wanted joy. This girl has been through a lot, man. Like, with these phrases and quotes, and it just sums up her story, and I hope it will make you understand the type of person she is. I know it's not a full story, but I also don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to get the book if you are into memoirs, and if you really love Viola. I mean, I love Viola. Who doesn't love Viola Davis? Like, y'all are hating if you don't love her. With How to Get Away with Murder, I became an artist in the truest sense of the word. If you've watched How to Get Away with Murder, you know that Viola Davis is doing the best job ever. Like, who doesn't want to be Annalise at some point? And I know How to Get Away with Murder is one of the reasons why my sister's studying law, because she was just fascinated by this character, and just everything happening in the movie and in the series. This woman is an inspiration, not only to me but to a lot of people. So I got to experience her very well in How to Get Away with Murder, and I really loved her from that point. And getting to read about her, I really understand the person she is to her truest form, and her insecurities, her vulnerability. She shared a lot of things in this book, and it only takes courage and bravery to share your story like that. Another one. In the course of playing Annalise, I understood that I no longer and never was that ugly black nigger. That's what I'm talking about. Like, ugliness is a thing, guys. Stop calling people ugly. I know sometimes I have a habit of calling people ugly, and I apologize, but I don't do it to the person. I'll just do it because of gossip or whatever. But that's something I really need to change. I know how it feels like to be called ugly. It's not good. It's not good to the self-esteem. The role liberated me. I said to myself, all I've got is me, and that is enough. Yes. The complexity of healing and forgiveness suddenly materialized for me. And I realized that your depth of understanding of yourself is equal to the depth of understanding a character. We are, after all, observers of life. Another thing I relate so much to this person, Viola, is that, you know, she's a really hard worker, and when it comes to stage performance, she brings her A game, and that's what she means actually here. You know, when you understand a character, you perfect it so well. If you don't understand it, that's when we'll say, hey, but this one is not a very good actor, because now what are you doing? If there's a background noise of na 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 dang dang, it's my daughter, please forgive her. I now understand that life and living it is more about being present. I think Eckhart Tolle would love this sentence. The power of now, guys, the power of now. It's getting dark now, and I don't know if you can see me, but yeah. So okay, I'm done with sharing with you my experience with this book. I loved this book. It wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it was definitely a 4-star. I would recommend it to you. I mean, this book is about women empowerment. It's about breaking free from backgrounds that are holding us back to achieving a better future for ourselves, you know, because sometimes you're stuck in memories, and being stuck in memories is just wasting time. And I'm not saying we shouldn't forget the past, but I'm just saying that let's leave a little bit in the now, so that we get to, you know, appreciate the present and appreciate that we only have now to make this life the best as we can, because dwelling on the past is just a waste of time. I promise you. Like, I've done that a lot, and I found myself just holding on to something that was useless. And once I got liberated, I just got to live my life. So yeah, this is my review, my talk about this book. I loved it, and I would recommend you read it to understand the person, you know. Before we judge each other, let's just get to know each other better. I'm going to leave my video here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've read the book, let's talk about it. This actually, I was reading this book because Tshego from A Time to Share Books just recently started a book club, and this was the book that we're going to review. Unfortunately, she lost her mom. May her soul rest in peace. And we couldn't meet, but I trust that we will meet as soon as she finds strength to do so. I'm looking forward to having a great discussion with her and Sean Lunga. Okay, Sean. I hope that we'll also meet. And if you want to join us basically for her first book club meeting, let's all gather and share this success with her. You know, it's not easy to start a book club. It's certainly not easy it's certainly not easy to keep it together, because you gain some members, you lose some members, but you know what, it is what it is. We keep on moving. We read these books and we share them with each other, have great conversations with food or whatever, you know. So yeah, if Tshego invites me to her book club meeting, I will surely invite you, so that, you know, she'll have like the best opening to her book club. I will see you in my next video. Nice chatting with you. Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.